Namaste and welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua, and for today's practice, you'll want to have 2 blocks and a strap. So besides our physical focus on possibly going into other kinds of inversions other than downward facing dog, of course, this is at your level and your ability and experience. So make sure that you're honoring your body and how you're feeling in the moment. We also had a request for some core strengthening, so we'll incorporate some of that. The two will go together pretty well. I invite you to start in hero's pose, like the way I'm sitting, if this is appropriate for your body. One way you can support yourself so that you're not bending your knees so deeply is to place 1 or 2 blocks right between your ankles to sit on top of, making sure that your toes are pointed back, tops of the feet flat on the ground. And start to arrive mentally and physically into your yoga practice. One of the things I'd like to highlight today as our philosophical sort of theme is to remember that what we practice daily, we reinforce in our default mode or our natural state of being. You might remember that in yoga philosophy, it teaches that we have these deeply ingrained conditionings and habits within us called samskaras in Sanskrit. And these are so deeply ingrained that we may totally be unaware of them. They could be ways of being and thinking and perceiving the world that started many generations before us from your ancestors, your cultural upbringing. It could be things that you've picked up along this lifetime, ways that you speak to yourself internally, your internal self-talk, how you are with the world, all kinds of habits and conditionings. And part of the yoga practice is to become more aware of our habits. As you might remember that Krishnamacharya said that yoga is the process of replacing old, no longer useful habits with more helpful ones. Not verbatim, but that was the intent of his quote. And so that entails self-study, which is one of the limbs of yoga. It's in the second limb, the niyamas, where we practice cultivating self-awareness by really taking an honest, compassionate look inward, especially as we might be looking at others and trying to spread positive influence in the world. Whatever things that you are passionate about and care about, how are we doing the change within ourselves? As Mahatma Gandhi said, how are we cultivating peace within ourselves before we look out into the world and hope to find it there? So all of those things begin within. And so our practice is to look inward and begin there. So let's start. Observing your physical body. What are you sensing? And a way to practice self-compassion is to just hold space for whatever is present in the moment without having to judge it as good or bad or right or wrong. Sense the way that you're breathing without changing or controlling the breath. Letting the breath naturally inform you of how your energy is right now. What are you working with? And how can you meet yourself there in how you approach your physical practice? Notice your mind. What have you been giving your attention lately? What has your internal dialogue or monologue been sounding like? And thus, how do you feel mentally? How are you feeling emotionally? And accepting what is in the moment. Allow a deeper breath in through your nose. Opening the mouth, let it go. Even slower inhaling. Again, releasing. Sensing the ebb and flow of your breath as you deepen it. I invite you to take a moment of gratitude in your genuine way, recognizing anything in your life right now in this moment that you can appreciate. And now begin to clarify your intention or personal prayer for this practice. And what's most wanting your attention right now in any aspect of your life? And how is this a practice of showing up for that area of your life with love? And then I invite you to choose somebody or a community or a cause that you would like to dedicate this practice to. Making an offering of your efforts. And with that, let's seal our intentions with chanting Om 3 times together. Inhale a little deeper. Beginning to use a breathing technique for inviting calm, focus, and energetic balance. Let's start with Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breath. It's done by closing the lips and gently narrowing the back of your throat so that you're creating a very soft whispering sound as you breathe in and out through the nose, slowly and evenly. Creating a gently audible rhythm that you can listen to and thus pace how you move your body with. And so with that, tuning into the breath, please make your way down onto your back. We're going to start a warm up here. So as you're lying down on your back, take a moment to just bend your knees into your chest. Take hold of your bent knees with your hands. And as you breathe in, rotate your thighs apart, circling them all around as you breathe out, drawing your knees together. Take a few cycles of breath in different directions, just warming up all around your thighs and hips, even giving your lower back a massage against the ground as you connect movement to breath pace. Now let's straighten the legs straight up. The knees can be bent so you're not straining your hamstrings if needed. Stack your ankles right above your hips and draw your navel in towards the spine. So slightly activate your abdomen. Even lift the navel slightly towards your heart. And then with that, raise your arms and interlace your fingers except your index fingers. Flex or point your feet together, engaging the muscles in the legs. Inhale here, lengthen your neck, draw the shoulder blades down your back. Exhale, contract your abdomen and twist to your right so you're pointing towards the front right corner of your room. Keep lifting the head and shoulders and pointing in that direction and keep steadying the breath. If you need support for your neck, you can place your right hand behind your skull. Inhale, lower your left leg slowly to hover your heel about 2 inches above the ground. Exhale, slowly lift the leg. Let's try that 4 more cycles of breath. Inhale, lower. So slow and controlled rather than swinging with momentum. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Keep reaching your index fingers towards the upper right corner of the room. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. And inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Keep your legs lifted. Rest your head and shoulders on the ground. And then once again, interlace your fingers that accept your index. Inhale here, slide the shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, firm your belly in and twist to your left, lifting your head and shoulders. Now, if your neck needs support, place the left hand behind your skull. Keep spiraling your torso and reaching towards the front left corner of your room. Inhale here, lowering the right leg. Hover your heel about 2 inches above the ground. Exhale, slowly lift it. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Last one, inhale, lower. And exhale, lift. This time, stretch your arms overhead, your legs onto the floor. Reach long up and down your body. Even point the toes if you are flexing the feet. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, contract your belly, hug your knees into your chest and round into a ball. Start to rock forward and back 3 to 4 times, building some momentum. Notice your breathing. Eventually, let's meet in a supported version of boat pose, where you're balancing on your sitting bones, either bending your knees and catching the backs of the knees with your hands as you kick your feet forward, or doing it arms free or legs straight. Lift to your pelvic floor and lift up through the back of your skull. Relax the shoulders. We're here for 4 more breaths. As you steady your gaze or drishti to help mental focus, listen to the quality of your breath. Relax your eyes. Last 2 deep breaths here in Navasana, boat pose. Exhale, shift forward, come all the way up to stand in mountain pose, right at the top of your mat. Now, if you're going to want to have blocks to press into, if the floor might be too low, you might like to place blocks in front of your feet like this at the height that you need for half forward fold later. Let's begin our sun salutations, warming up, connecting movement to breath in a flow of gratitude towards the sun. So start by recentering on the feeling of your intention for your practice. Practicing svadhyaya or studying your habits as you move through the practice. Let's begin with sun salutation C, Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead and gently coil your chest up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Feel free to bend the knees if you need. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Place your fingertips outside your heels. Inhale, step your left knee behind you on the ground and gaze up. As you hold your breath, step into plank pose. Ashtangasana. As you exhale, lower your knees, chest, then chin. Inhale to cobra, slither forward, root down to the tops of your feet as you draw your shoulders back. Exhale into downward facing dog, lifting the hips back. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb and lower your right knee, gazing up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Press to your feet, inhale, rise to Urdhva Hastasana with a gentle back bend. Exhale, join your hands at your heart center in Padasana. One more time, side 2. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow over your legs in Uttanasana. Place your fingertips down. Inhale, step your right knee back this time and look up. As you hold your breath, step into plank. Exhale, lower knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, slide through into cobra. Root down to the tops of your feet. Exhale, lift your hips back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb and lower your left knee, gazing up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Inhale, root down to rise, lifting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, join your palms in prayer at your hearts. Let's move into Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana again. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. This time, press your fingertips on your legs, blocks, or the ground. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward into Ardha Uttanasana. Step back to your version of plank. Now, as you firm the belly, exhale, glide forward. Lower halfway down, hugging your elbows to your ribs in Chaturanga Dandasana. Then choose inhaling to Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal out your feet, to make any movements that your body needs to loosen up. For a few extra breaths here in downward facing dog. Then cultivating stillness, tune into one full cycle of breath. When you've emptied it, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to the heart in mountain pose. Once again, sun salutation A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Step into plank to lower, or if you normally jump, lightly float to Chaturanga. Keep going through your Vinyasa at your pace of breath. This time in downward dog, I invite you to cultivate stillness as you steady your gaze and recalibrate your breath. 3 cycles. When you've emptied the third exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat. Then inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana, hands in prayer in mountain pose. Let's bring the feet together so that the inner edges of your big toes touch. Starting sun salutation B. Bending your knees together. Inhale, sit low in chair pose, Utkatasana, leaning back towards your heels. Then exhale, shift forward and hinge from your hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank or float to Chaturanga and take it to your Vinyasa here. Once in downward dog, keep your hips leveled in height. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Now as you exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose, round the back, contract the abdomen, and lightly step your foot beside your right thumb. Spin your left heel down. Inhale, rise to stand in warrior 1. Ride your exhalation down from plank into your Vinyasa. Then in downward facing dog, again, try to keep your hips balanced as you inhale, raise your left leg back. Bend your knee towards your nose, engage the abdomen to step your foot lightly beside your left thumb. Spin your right heel down, inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale all the way down to Chaturanga, flowing into your Vinyasa. Once again, at downward facing dog, slow down your breathing and notice how you feel. 3 deep breaths here. Once you've emptied the third, walk or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, inhale, chair. Exhale, rise up. Let's take the sequence one last time. Hopefully you're starting to get warm too. Bend your knees together. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step or float into your vinyasa here. Downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the foot beside right thumb, left heel down. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, lower vinyasa. Keep going into side two on your own pace of breath. Three breaths, pausing in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, before we move on, I'm going to invite you to lower onto hands and knees. We're going to insert an opening practice for our shoulders, triceps, and lats. So please take your blocks and place them on their second level, medium height like this, wide across the top of your mat, touching each other. Set your knees at least a foot behind the blocks and extend your arms forward, palms face down. At your shoulder sockets, externally rotate your upper arms so your triceps spin towards the ground, thus spreading the shoulder blades apart. Press your shoulder blades down your back ribs too, and keep those two actions happening as you bend your elbows and place them on your blocks exactly your shoulders width apart, no wider. Press your fingertips into each other and step your knees back until they're about a couple of inches behind your hips. Tuning into the breath. Slide your thumbs down the back of your skull, as far back as your thumbs may go, maybe towards the back of your neck or between the shoulder blades. Letting your head rest down, broaden your chest to sink towards the ground. Firm in your belly, so the belly is not relaxed here, it's slightly engaged, supporting your lower back. For about 5 more deep breaths, draw your sitting bones back. Lengthen through the sides of your waist. Continue spinning your triceps towards the earth and sliding your shoulder blades onto your back ribs. So you want to feel these two actions, triceps rotating down, shoulder blades moving away from the neck, when you are in downward facing dog. And the other two inversions that we'll practice today, which is dolphin pose and possibly headstand. On your next exhalation, contract your abdomen to rise up and off the blocks. Set the blocks at the top of your mat or off to the sides and come back to downward facing dog, incorporating those two actions of rolling your triceps towards the floor, spreading the shoulder blades apart, and sliding the shoulder blades onto your back ribs away from your neck. Then let your head fall. Steady your gaze and tune into one more deep breath. When you've emptied it, walk or float to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, rise up. Now let's set the feet apart, hips distance or wider, and bring your hands behind you to clasp. Open up the chest and the front of your shoulders. As you inhale, look up. Keep the hands together. Exhale, begin to bow from your hips, cultivating the feeling of a flat back. So if needed, bend your knees so that you don't round your back. Letting your head fall, relax your neck. Maybe even shake and nod your head to help. Stretching your arms away from your lower back, lift your shoulder bones away from your neck, tilting your weight as far forward as you can balance. Last 3 breaths in this version of Uttanasana. Place your hands onto your hips and point your elbows to the sky. Lead with your chest and inhale to slowly rise. Now, as you keep your hands on your hips, notice as your 2 feet are on the ground that generally your hips are like a balanced scale, generally about the same height. Try to keep them the same height, hugging your outer hips as you shift your weight onto your right foot. Bend your left knee in front of you and flex the foot. If that hip hikes up, drop it down and rebalance the scale of your hips. Draw your navel in and up. How's the breath? Now, steadying your gaze to support your balance too, bring your hands in prayer at your heart. Begin to tilt your torso forward as you straighten your left leg back, entering Warrior 3. If your hamstrings feel tight, you can bend your right knee here. Create a long horizontal line through the midline of your body. Turn your left outer hip to face the ground and tack your right outer hip back, lifting through the sides of your belly. Tune into 3 or more breaths here. You can also place your hands on blocks to support you. Virabhadrasana 3. Now slowly and steadily begin to step the ball of your left foot all the way back into crescent lunge, where your feet are parallel and hips width apart. Direct your tailbone downward, square both hips to evenly face forward, and slightly lift your frontal hip bones, raising your arms high. Let's bring those 2 blocks in our imagination to float right above your eyesight. So spiral your outer upper arms forward and draw your shoulder blades down the back. Remember those 2 actions? Now bend your elbows and press your fingertips into each other. Place your elbows on the imaginary floating blocks as you trace your thumbs down the back of your skull. Now keep directing your tailbone down and slightly forward as you lift your back ribs so that you're lengthening your lower back. Beneath your shoulder blades, begin to tilt your chest up into a gentle back bend. Make sure that you're not splaying your elbows wider apart than your shoulders distance here. Let's tune into 3 more breaths. Warrior 2, spin your left heel to the ground, open your arms and align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Steady your gaze just past your right hand. Tune into another 4 deep breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten your right leg. As we prepare for triangle pose, you might opt to shorten your stance a couple inches to help balance. Glide your hips towards your rear wall, lengthen your torso towards the front, and lower your right hand on your right shin or just to the right of it, maybe on a block, reaching your left arm straight up. Rotate your chest slightly to face the sky, and let's bring an extension to the left side. Rotate your left tricep to face the left wall and extend your left arm overhead towards your front wall while pressing your shoulder blades down your back. Let your eyes land on one point. 4 more deep breaths here in Utthita Trikonasana. Press down to your feet. Inhale, rise up and shorten your stance, maybe 5 or 6 inches less. Then turn your hips equally to face the front of your mat, stepping your right foot over to the right so that you can balance and not feel like you're in a tightrope. Let's prepare for pyramid pose, bringing your arms into cow face pose. This is where you might use a strap. So if you're not sure, grab the strap. Hold it in your left hand. Raise your left arm. If you're using a strap, dangle the strap behind your back. With your right hand, spin your left outer upper arm slightly to face forward and bring the elbow behind your head. Now press your shoulders down and seal in the bottom of your front ribs. Reach your right hand behind you underneath to catch the bottom end of the strap. Then walk your hands as close together as you can. Now, if your hands can clasp, you can let go of the strap. Press down to your feet without gripping the mat. Firm in the belly and draw your shoulder heads back. Breathe in here, open your throat. Keep your throat open and exhale just a little bit of your range. Hinge forward from your hips. Draw the right hip slightly back and breathe in to lengthen your spine further forward. Exhale, fold another little bit. Continue to explore the degree at which you can fold without closing off your throat or rounding your shoulders. For about 2 or 3 more breaths in pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Now, as you firm in the belly, root down to your feet. Inhale, lift your spine about parallel to the ground. Lower your left hand on the left side of your front foot. Use a block if needed. With the right thumb, hook your right outer hip crease slightly back to rebalance your hips. Firm down to your feet and breathe in to stretch the top of your head forward. Exhale at your waist, not your pelvis. Begin to rotate your rib cage to face your right wall. Raise your right arm up and you're in twisting triangle pose for 4 more breaths. If your balance feels pretty steady and you could go deeper in the twist, you might place your left hand on the right side of your front foot. Draw your shoulder blades down your back. And maybe gaze up. Parita Trikonasana. Now look down just in front of your right toes. Lower your fingertips on blocks or the floor ahead of your right foot. Start to shift your weight entirely onto your right foot, flexing the left foot, raise the leg, and keep your hips leveled. Standing splits. Breathe in and lift your chest forward. Exhale, bow towards your right shin. No matter how high you lift the left leg, try to keep your hips balanced to support your lower back. Some of you might kick up towards handstand here if that's part of your practice. Otherwise, you could challenge your balance further by walking your hands closer to your standing foot or by holding your right calf or ankle. A few more deep breaths. Set your left foot hips distance from the right. Forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, slowly rise. And pause. Notice your breathing. Feel your body as it is. Try to keep your 2 hips leveled. Draw your navel in and up. As you shift your weight onto your left foot and raise your right knee bent in front of you, flexing that foot. Steady your gaze, join your hands in prayer, and start to tilt forward, lengthen the right leg back, warrior 3. Turning your right outer hip to face the ground, square your hips evenly. Option to place your hands in blocks. Very slowly, when you're ready, step the ball of your right foot all the way back so your feet are hips width apart, parallel to each other in crescent lunge. When you arrive, direct your tailbone downward. Slightly lift your frontal hip bones. Direct both hips to face forward. Then raise your arms up. Now let's imagine those 2 blocks again floating just above your eye line, your eye gaze. Rotate your triceps forward. Press your shoulder blades down. Place your bent elbows shoulders width apart, not wider on your imaginary blocks. Press your fingertips into each other. Trace your thumbs down the back of your skull as far back and down as they'll go. Create your back bend from right under your shoulder blades as you lengthen your lower back, tilting your heart and gaze up. 3 more breaths here. Warrior two. Spin your right heel down, align left heel to arch of right foot, and open your arms wide. Direct your gaze just beyond your left hand. Listen in for 4 more breaths. Let's prepare for triangle. Straighten your legs, possibly shorten your stance a couple inches. Glide your hips towards your back wall. Lengthen your torso towards your front wall, placing your left fingertips on your left shin, or just to the left of it, maybe on a block as you raise your right arm straight up. Spin your chest slightly to face the sky, landing your gaze. Now let's bring the extension of the right arm. Spin your tricep of the right arm to face the right wall. Then reach that right arm overhead towards the front wall, drawing your shoulders down your back. 4 more breaths in Utthita Trikonasana. Root down to your feet. Inhale, slowly rise up. Let's shorten our stance about 5 to 6 inches. Then turn your hips equally to face the front of your mat, sliding your left foot to the left enough so that you don't feel like you're trying to balance on a tightrope. Let's prepare for pyramid pose with your arms in cow face pose. So you might want to use the strap, hold it in your right hand. Raise your right arm and dangle the strap behind your back. With the help of your left hand, spin your right tricep to face forward and bring the elbow behind your head. Press your shoulders down and seal in the bottom of your front ribs. Reach the left hand underneath behind you, catching the bottom end of the strap, then walk your hands as close together as you can. Now, if your hands meet, you can let go of the strap and clasp your fingers. Rooting down to toes spread, breathe in and tilt your heart up. Just a little bit of your range. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Slightly tack the left hip back. Little by little each breath. Explore your range of motion in Parsvottanasana with your arms in Gomukhasana. Inhale, lift your spine about parallel to the ground. Lower your right hand on the right side of your front foot. Use a block if needed. With your left thumb, tack your left outer hip back just enough to keep the hips leveled in height. Press firmly through your feet and inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Now at your waist, exhale, begin to twist to your left, raising your left arm and twisting triangle pose. Parita Trikonasana. You might take a step further if available, stepping the right hand on the left side of your front foot. Let's tune into about 4 more breaths here. Look down just ahead of your left toes. Lower your fingertips there on blocks of the floor and shift forward into standing splits, flexing your right foot or pointing it. Keep your hips leveled. Inhale, lift your chest forward. Exhale, bow towards your left shin. Optional to kick up towards handstand. Optional to walk the hands closer to your left foot. Maybe hold the ankle or the calf. Set your right foot hips distance from the left. Forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Take your last vinyasa or cat-cow. Downward dog for 3 mindful breaths. Let's lower onto our knees to prepare for our next inversion. dolphin pose. So here, like when we were preparing to place our hands on the blocks, please extend your arms forward, palms face down. And let's incorporate those two actions of the shoulders, spinning the triceps downward and pressing the shoulder blades down your back. Continue to do those things and bend your elbows. Place your elbows on the ground this time, exactly your shoulders distance apart. Now you can choose to have your forearms parallel to each other on the floor with your palms face down. If your mat is slippery, you might interlace your fingers instead, or to just feel a little more stability, create this triangular base. Root down to the outer wrist here. Now step your knees back enough so that you can tuck the toes and prepare to lift your hips back just as you would in downward facing dog. But this time we're going to be placing our weight on our forearms and our feet. So press down to your forearms and draw the shoulders back, firm in the belly, and lift the hips back. If it's available in your hamstrings, walk your feet forward closer to your elbows. Now at the same time, press your chest back towards your shins, keeping your shoulders slightly behind your elbows, not hovering in front of your elbows. Now you can relax your neck and just let your head hang here, tuning into about 5 breaths. Now, if it's available, you can bring the feet together, and like you did in standing splits, keep your hips squared, point or flex a lifted foot straight up. A few breaths one leg, a few breaths the other leg. When you're ready to come out of dolphin pose, keep your head low to the ground and come down to your knees in child's pose, where your feet come together to touch. Knees are together or as wide apart as comfortable, and then you relax everything here. You can even rest the arms back by your sides, turn your head to one side. In child's pose or balasana, pause for about 3 breaths. Just notice how you feel right now. Continue practicing Ujjayi pranayama, that ocean wave sound. And then plant your hands outside your knees and inhale to roll your spine upright. Either choose round 2 of dolphin pose, staying there for 5 to 10 breaths or more. We'll meet back in child's pose, or if you are free of neck issues and want to give headstand a try, or if maybe you normally practice headstand, supported headstand, shavasana. Similar setup. Arms forward, rotate the triceps down, press the shoulder blades down the back. For this, you'll need to interlace the fingers loosely, like this, and then you'll find the very tip of the crown of your head to place on the floor where all the sides of your neck have a natural space. You're not squishing the neck at all. The back of your skull is going to be lightly supported by the inner webbing of your palms. Let me demonstrate. Especially if it's new for you, watch first. Once you got your setup, elbows, shoulders distance apart, you're using your forearms to press into the ground so that you're lifting the shoulders and putting as little weight on your head as possible. Then you'll tuck your toes like dolphin pose and see if you can walk the feet forward. Pressing the chest back so the shoulders stay right above the elbows and they don't come forward of the elbows. And then you engage the belly like you did in boat pose in the beginning. Without swinging the leg, then you might try lifting one leg straight up like standing splits and then switch sides. Or begin to lift the opposite leg, bending the knee towards your chest, like boat pose. Eventually, maybe bring feet together, flexed as you press up through the insteps of your feet while they touch. So take your last inversion, dolphin, headstand, or downward facing dog for about 10 breaths, and we'll meet in child's pose. You might remember that some of the health benefits of headstand are activating the sympathetic nervous system, not the parasympathetic rest and digest. It actually energizes you. It's a heating pose. It also helps to promote circulation and digestion as you turn upside down, reverse the blood flow. Psychologically cultivating confidence, courage, ability to see a different perspective. And then when you're ready, if you've rested at least 3 breaths in child's pose, or as long as you need, start to slide forward onto your belly to lie face down. We'll practice our last few back bends. So as you're lying on the ground, bring your knees close together, and let's prepare for 2 rounds of bow pose, Dhanurasana. Bending your knees, reach back with your hands. You might start with holding your outer feet. If that feels pretty easy, then try inner feet. If that still feels pretty easy, you could hold your ankles and flex your feet. Press your pubic bone into the ground and kick your feet away as you pull your feet towards you. Lifting your knees, draw your shoulder heads back, lifting your chest. Then look slightly down so as not to tense your neck. Give it 5 to 7 breaths on this first one. Now, to support your lower back, try not to splay your knees wider apart than your hips distance. Deep breaths. When you're done, relax everything and tune in for about 3 breaths. Let's prepare for one more Dhanurasana. Slide your knees close together. Decide what part of your feet or ankles to hold, and take your practice for 5 to 10 breaths. This time as you arrive, you might windshield wiper your shins side to side while resting your head on the pillow of your crossed forearms, giving your lower back a gentle massage. What have you noticed through self-study about your habits in how you approach your physical body in your asanas? What do you notice about your mental habits? Let's press back into child's pose, just transitioning here for our last back bend. Gently roll up to sit, preparing for either bridge pose or upward facing bow. The latter if you already know how to practice that, since we didn't break it down. Just set your feet apart, hips distance, parallel to each other as you lie on your back. Bridge pose, lift your hips up, walk your upper arms under the back, maybe clasp the hands. Upward bow, flip the palms face down alongside your ears, keeping your legs and feet parallel to each other. Keep your arms generally parallel to each other. 5 to 10 breaths. This time I invite you to arrive in Supta Baddha Konasana, with your back flat on the floor, dropping your knees apart, bringing the soles of your feet together to touch. Here you might rest a hand on your heart center, middle of your chest, and a hand at your navel center, just below your belly button. Notice your energy right now. Bring your hands to your outer thighs. As you close your knees, wrap your right leg over your left leg like you would an eagle pose. Slide your hips to your right about 3 to 5 more inches. Let's prepare for a supine spinal twist. Open your right arm on the ground out to the right and lift your feet. Keep your right shoulder down, maybe gaze past it, and slowly drop your knees to your left side. To add more traction, to deeply release your lower back, you could place your left hand on your right outer hip, and as you exhale, press your right outer hip forward, gently tilting it towards the front edge of your mat. 3 more deep breaths. Start to unwind back to center, uncrossing your legs. Let's wrap the left leg over the right. Then from center, slide your hips towards the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide on the ground. Maybe gaze past the left shoulder as you root it down. Then lift your feet and slowly drop your knees to your right side. You might add using your right hand to press your left outer hip forward. Last 3 breaths here. Gently unwind again. And let's come into happy baby pose. Splay your bent knees apart towards your outer shoulders. Lift the soles of your feet towards the sky. Parallel your feet to each other. Cross your arms inside of your thighs and hold your outer feet. As you press your tailbone and shoulders into the ground, relax your head. See if you can draw the knees wider apart towards the earth. Let's take 3 rounds of Simasana Pranayama here. Lion's breath, which is cooling and releasing. Feel free when you exhale through the mouth to let out any sound, like a roar if you like, anything to unpack any sort of stagnant energy that needs to move. So inhale deeply through your nose. Open your eyes and mouth wide, stick out your tongue, let it out. Ah, on your own, twice more. Ah, ah. Draw your bent knees together, rock a little in any direction, eventually lifting your body up to sit for seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Separate your feet, your hips distance apart, and flex your feet. Ground your sitting bones and choose to either raise your arms to eventually clasp your big toes or to hold a strap that's placed around the balls of your feet as an extension of your arms. As you breathe in, soften your shoulders, lengthen your spine up. As you exhale, hinge from the hips little by little, keeping a slight lift in your chest. Tune into about 3 more deep breaths here in Paschimottanasana. Then press down to your pelvis. Inhale, lead with your chest. Slowly rise up. I invite you into one more pranayama practice to help us tune deeper inward and really relax the nervous system for shavasana and our seated 5 minutes of meditation after. So find a comfortable way to sit where you can breathe comfortably and fully. Spine is tall, body is relaxed, and you feel grounded. I invite you into the practice of box breathing or Samavriti Pranayama. You might place your hands in a grounding mudra, thumb and index finger touching, palms resting face down on the lap. And maybe close the eyes. Remember that all these pranayamas are also ways to meditate as you're using your breath as your anchor or point of focus and relaxing the effort. Let's practice 3 rounds of box breathing together and then continue 3 rounds on your own. This is how you practice it. Closing your lips, we'll inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Hold the breath for 4 counts as you relax. Exhale through the nose for 4 counts and hold the breath out for 4 counts, relaxed. That's 1 cycle. Prepare to begin by emptying this breath. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Cycle 2. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Cycle 3. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. On your own, continue for 3 more cycles. Take your time, and when you finish, release control of the breath and observe how you feel. And as you're ready, please gently lower your body into a resting position for corpse pose, lying down, maybe using your props for support, like blocks under the backs of the knees to release tension in the lower back. And then close your eyes as you land, giving yourself permission to tune inward. A few minutes of shavasana. Notice now how your body feels. Little by little, gently waking up your body. Begin with small movements. Ease into simple stretches. Gradually turn over onto your right side and rest your head for a few moments. Notice the quality of your breathing. Notice how you feel energetically. And take your time lifting your body up. Please find a comfortable way to sit tall for 5 minutes in meditation. You might close the eyes. You might place your hands in a mudra of your choice, such as stacking the palms face up on the center of your lap with your thumb tips touching. Begin by resting your awareness on something that is grounding you. The feeling of your pelvis pressing downward on the surface below. Maybe the feeling of your breath as it naturally flows. If any time you find your attention goes astray from the present moment, following a thought or a stimulus, gently bring your attention back to what is grounding you in the present, the breath, your pelvis. And after a while, you might find it easier and easier to rest in the present moment, where it feels almost effortless. Notice how you're feeling now mentally and emotionally. I invite you to recognize anything with gratitude. Then come back to your intention. Remember to whom you've dedicated this practice. And together, let's close chanting Om 3 times. Om. Bowing in, recognize the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.